Hey, you guys, I want to show you something. Okay, I love this. This is my favorite parable, but I ran across it in this Bible tonight. I flipped open, and it happened to be October, and then I got freaked out. And then so I went to my other Bible, and I'm like, what was I thinking? Okay, because I love this thief analogy. So this says second coming, if you notice here. I didn't see this at first, but I saw it later. But then so this says, stay dressed for action and keep your lamps burning and be like men who are waiting for their master, who are waiting for their Jesus to come home from the wedding feast. This is not us. I already knew this part, but this whole thing, I think people get it out of whack because Jesus skips up. Not skips up. He changes it up and people don't notice it. But if you put Jesus' name in here, you'll notice it. So he says, waiting for their Jesus to come home, which is within us. He lives within us from the wedding. See, I'm going to be in that wedding. I mean, we are going to be in that wedding. And here he's saying he's coming from the wedding. That means it's already over. No, this is to the Jews. So he's coming from the wedding feast so that they may open the door to him, Jesus, at once when he comes and knocks. Okay, see, this is when Jesus comes the second time and they say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. So blessed are those servants, the Jews, whom the Master, Jesus, finds awake when he comes. See, some will take the mark of the beast. Some Jews, some Gentiles will take the mark. So they have to be awake. Truly, I say to you, he will dress himself, Jesus will dress himself for service and have them recline at table, and Jesus will come and serve them. If Jesus comes in the second watch or in the third and finds them, his servants, awake, blessed are those servants, Jews. Okay, see, he's going to change it right here in verse 39. So I'll show you it this way. But know this, that if Jesus, the Master, that's the same word he used here, Master, but he changes it. It's so subtle. But know this, that if the Jesus of the house, the vessel, the human, but if Jesus of the house had known at what hour the thief was coming, you see how that does not fit? I just did this tonight because I confused myself because I didn't know. This threw me off. So I came back to reread it. And I just now realized I could have put Jesus in here, but I didn't need to at first. I didn't need to put Jesus because I already understood it. But this bottom part is what threw me off, is coming at an hour you do not expect. So see, that's for the Jews. So okay, but know this, that if the servant, this is more sense, see, this is why this is to the bride. Right here it's to the bride, then he skips back to the Jews. But know this, and you can look this up in King James. This is not King James. But know this, that if the Master, which is us, of his house, had known, no, this is, but know this, that if the master of the house, his own house, like you're a homeowner, So you're his servant and you're a homeowner. If you had known when the thief was coming, you would not have left your house to be broken into. And then he says here, the wording, you also, now he's back to the disciples, you also must be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an hour you do not expect. But do you see in verse 39 only and then in 40 he goes back to the Jews. Now they say Luke is for the bride anyway. But this says, but know this, that if Jesus had known at what hour the thief was coming, he would not have left his house to be broken into. See, that does not make sense. That is not Jesus. But like I said, I confused myself tonight with this, so I went back and reread it, and I said, oh my goodness, and all these markings are old. So I understood it, a month ago, but then sometimes you'll go back to verses, and it's like, I don't understand that anymore. I don't know if you guys have ever done that, but I have. Like rarely, but it has happened. But again, so see, stay dressed for action. This is Jesus telling the servants, and keep your lamps burning, servants, and be like servants who are waiting for Jesus to come home. Master. But see, this has always been my favorite parable right here, because this tells you that you're going to know. It says, had known at what hour the thief was coming, he would not have left his house to be broken into. That's how we know. Because, like I've said over and over and over again, you cannot watch for a thief your whole life. You would never sleep. You couldn't go to work. You would have to know the appointment of the thief, because even he says he's not going to come upon us like a thief who are watching. I know you people love to quote, oh, he's coming like a thief. And you're so stupid fools because you don't read the next verse that says he's not coming like a thief for us. Sure, you can be a stupid fool and not watch, and and he'll come like a thief to you, fool. But he's not coming like a thief to us because we're watching. He would not have left his house, see, to be broken into. So you have to know when the thief is coming. You have to be prepared. And how can you be prepared when there is no date? But here he's talking all this. He's talking to the Jews. This even says second coming. And I hadn't noticed that until recently. But I'd always loved reading this. But I didn't notice this. So here, again, stay dressed for action. Jews who are this is when they're left behind because they're not messianic. The Christian Jews will be raptured. But my nail is so filthy. But these are the Jews that got left behind because they're not messianic. So Jesus has to talk to them and warn them, stay dressed and keep your lamps burning in the tribulation and be like men who are waiting for their master to come home from the wedding feast with the rapturines, the few, the proud, the rapturines. So from the wedding, so that they who were left behind and accepted Jesus and not the mark of the beast may open the door to him, Jesus, at once when he comes and knocks. So see, maybe there's a second rapture. Maybe there's some other event. I don't know, because he's wanting them even to watch in the trib. Now, why does he want them to watch in the trib, not knowing what hour, when he says it's going to be 7 years? So this to me speaks something different that I don't know about, because they do know when it is. It's going to be 7 years after he goes to the wedding with us in the rapture. And they should know that it's about 7 years. So it says, blessed are those servants. They didn't take the mark. They accepted Jesus, whom Jesus finds awake when he comes. Truly, I say to you, he will dress himself for service and have them recline at table. See, he doesn't say anything about a feast or a supper or a wedding, because he's coming from the feast. Where is it? He's coming from the feast. He's already been to the feast. He's already been to wedding feast with us. He says, he will dress himself for service and have them recline at table. This must be another dinner. And it doesn't even say anything about food. But it's recline at table. Remember when he washed their feet after the supper? And I was reading about that. And it's not the Passover. I'll show you. Anyway, and he will come and serve them. If he comes in the second watch or in the third and finds them awake, yes, blessed from the wedding. Awake from the wedding. Blessed are those servants. But know this, that if the master of the house had known at what hour. So see, he moves right into then a human servant. The human now is the master, not Jesus. And then over here in, where was I? John, talking about he is, where was I? See here, he says, God was going back to God, rose from supper. He laid aside his outer garments and taking a towel, tied it around his waist. When he poured water into a basin, he began to wash the disciples' feet. I'm wondering, I don't know Jewish, whatever their culture much, but why do they wash their feet after they eat? Because he did this after they ate. So then it goes through all this. So basically, Jesus is saying, you have gone to the mikvah, you're bathed, you took a shower, but now I'm going to wash your feet. That's basically repentance. So because they have a little argument here, and he's saying, don't wash my feet. And Jesus tells him, you're already washed. You're already clean. You're already saved. Wherever it is. You're already saved, Jesus tells him. You're already saved. But washing your feet is just the daily upkeep of repentance, okay? Because they're Christians, these Jews. But see, now that said supper. That said supper. And this says the last Passover, but that's wrong. Because, during supper, but it says 6 days. Here's the next day. The next day. So now it's 5 days. Because over here somewhere it says 6 days before the Passover. And then if you follow along, you're going to notice that this is all these pages are just 1 day. So then the next day. So now there's 5 days before Passover. 5 days. And then he's doing all this stuff, all this stuff, all this stuff. And then, so that was 5 days before Passover. They were at supper. And that's when Judas ran off to go betray him. Okay, now this is where the feast is. Because then it goes into all this stuff after Judas ran off. And, you know, if you read it again, the disciples didn't even know where Judas was going. They thought, oh, it says, where is it? I don't know where it is, but they're like, wow, why did he jump up like that? And it tells you what they're thinking. It says they thought, well, maybe he's going to buy food for the Passover dinner. Yeah, so that tells you right there, they're not at the Passover dinner right here. It is the Last Supper, but it is not the Passover supper. So I haven't finished reading, but I think anyway, so I think he got crucified on Passover supper. Because remember, they didn't want to defile themselves with death. So here it tells you right here, Judas, the son of Simon, is then go quickly, buy what we need for the feast. Jesus was telling him. Some thought that because Judas had the money bag, Jesus was telling him, buy what we need for the feast, the Passover feast, not the supper. This is about 5 days before the feast of Passover. Then, okay, by this all the people know that you have. All right, so maybe that was about it, and I haven't. Lord, where are you going? Okay, so then this is where it kind of all starts to begin, and then I have to look. Not this supper, 5 days before the feast. So anyway, somebody's going to talk about somewhere along here. I'm going to finish reading it. Oh, that's from other time. But they wanted to, there's a discrepancy. They do not want to crucify Jesus on a feast. So I think they had to, so I'm going to read it because I'm not, that, like I said, I'm just trying to be a Christian here. I don't know all the heritage and all that. I'm good to just, remember all the stuff. But to then know, I'm kind of slowly getting it. But anyway, I was getting this Bible, and I've made a little short on this Bible here that I found run over in my yard. And I was showing you how beat up it was, and then I was showing you how the brunt of it was in the fall. So, I had found September 23rd. So anyway, I ironed it out, not literally, but so I was going to come over here and look up the 23rd of October and see what it had to say, but I flipped too far and I ran across my favorite parable on August 28th. And I was rereading it and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got this wrong. I got this so wrong. And then I went to go, because this is also in Luke. It might also be in another gospel. But see, the servant. And then that's when Peter says, are you saying this to to only us or to everyone? Now remember, Jesus is saying this to them, but not to all the Jews, because these are Messianic Jews, his disciples, right? They're Christians. And that's when Jesus goes into this thief. The master puts in charge of his servants. Okay, this might be a different parable. But anyway, I just thought I'd share this again because when I reread it again, I forgot. Oh, I'm in John. When I reread it again, I forgot what I was thinking. If you've ever done such a thing, I don't know. But where was I? Not John, Luke. I forgot what I was thinking. And then I'm like, oh no. I'm like, oh no, they do not expect. I'm like, what the heck? No, wait a minute. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. For the Son of Man is coming at an hour you do not expect. And then he goes back to talking to the Jews. That's probably when I noticed that it said second coming. But still, this is my favorite part, verse 39. Because we're going to be at the wedding. We're going to be at the wedding. And he says he's coming from the wedding. You know, that means they missed the wedding. They missed the wedding. He's coming back from having a wedding with us, a wedding feast. And he's talking to these left behind people, the Gentiles and the Jews. And then he just switches it up on 39 because it doesn't fit with Jesus. So, but know this, that if you had known at what hour the thief was coming, okay, so, and then he goes to 40. He said, you must be ready for the Son of Man. You must be ready. You also must be ready. Okay? So he's talking about us here, but he's also saying, you Christian disciple Jews, you also must be ready. For the Son of Man is coming at an hour you do not expect. And it's probably true because they're so far from the rapture, y'all. Jesus already knew when the rapture would happen before he was even crucified and came back to life and ascended and everything. So he needed this written down this way for the people. So Son of Man is coming at an hour you do not expect. You can take it two ways. You can take it like, I don't know why they would know it's 7 years. So Peter asks, are you saying this to all of us? And then he goes into a different, who then is the faithful and wise Jesus? No. Manager, servant. And then he says manager just once. And the rest of the way, he says servant, 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 servant. No longer says manager, but it's the same thing. Wise manager, whom his Jesus will set over his household, to give them, servants, their servants' portion of food at the proper time. Okay, faithful and wise will set over his household. Who then is faithful to give them their food at the proper time? At the proper time? That's tricky. I don't know. I haven't studied that yet. Blessed is that servant whom his master, Jesus, will find so doing when he comes. He is okay, never mind. Truly, he will set him over all his possessions, whom his master will find doing when he comes. Okay. But if that servant says to himself, okay, this is probably back to Messianic Jews and Christians watching. This is back to us. Parable of testing of servants. So all the mockers, they're beating us. But if that servant says to himself, well, he's saying it also to us. But he's saying it in his heart. My master is delaying in coming, or we don't know the day or hour, and begins to beat the male and female servants, and to eat and drink and get drunk, stay asleep. Drunk means asleep. The master Jesus of that Christian will come on a day when he does not expect. So all these blabbermouths, they're causing us to be blessed, because blessed are those who suffer for righteousness' sake. Blessed are those who suffer for the name of Jesus. Blessed are you. And yeah, so I heard that somewhere earlier. The master of that Christian, Jesus, will come on a day for that Christian when that Christian does not expect him, and at an hour that Christian does not know, and will basically call him a hypocrite, an unfaithful, because there's never an excuse to beat your fellow brethren, never, unless they are infiltrating your personal channel, and they're trying to evangelize you. Like if I were to go on a Jewish channel and try to evangelize them. If you're going to go on a pre-tribber channel and try to tell them there's no rapture, or you go on a pre-trib date setting, date watching channel, and you tell them you can't know the hour, get the heck off. Leave us alone. You're looking, your mouth is inviting a beating. Like Proverbs says, 28:26. It's stay off the channel. You don't go hunt people down that you know disagree with you. Now, if we were on your channel because you're a freaking bully and we're saying, hey, there's a rapture and yeah, we can know the day. Yeah, and we were beating you. Oh my goodness, that would be a bloodbath because you're already vicious and vile and ready for a fight. So I'm just saying, we're peaceful. We're peaceful. We just are doing what we want to do according to the Bible that tells us what to do. And when these people come on our platform, uninvited, well, they're invited, but their mouth is calling for a beating. Okay? They're wringing our nose and it's going to bring forth blood. They're stirring up strife. Okay? That's Proverbs. So Jesus is basically saying you're not one of them because you don't have love for the brethren, that the world will know you are my disciples by the way you love each other. And that's not loving. So you're screwing yourself in two ways. You're not loving the brethren and you're being vicious. So you might want to meditate on this, you people. Meditate on it and stay off the platforms that are watching high watch dates, because this is what's going to happen to you. You're not going to know the day. It says you're not going to, do not expect. You're going to, he says, do not expect. See, you're drunk. You're not awake. You're not watching. You're too busy beating on us. Why don't you go save a soul? As like Brother George would say. Why don't you go find somebody to save, lead to Christ, not save. None of us can save anybody. But why don't you go find somebody why don't you go evangelize some lost? Why don't you go hang out in a bar? That'd be a great place. I bet you'll get I'll bet you get beat up in a bar. How do you like being beat up, you bully? Bullies like dishing it out, but they don't like taking it. But I'll bet you'll be so sweet if you were evangelizing in a bar. Why don't you go to a bar? Okay? Where the drunks are, you're drunk too, and you're in the dark, and, why don't you go evangelize and leave us alone? So the master, Jesus is going to come on a day when you do not expect, and an hour. Oh, but you don't know the day or the hour. You don't know the day or the hour? Well, no, you don't. You're speaking a prophecy over yourself, buddy, sissy. And then here, coming at an hour. Does that say hour? Oh, but nobody knows the day or hour. Nobody knows the day or hour. That says he's coming at an hour. You don't know. Okay. All right. Well, I just wanted to point that small detail out, you guys, between 39 and 40. No, yeah. And this whole thing. And then any mockers, go ahead if you want. If you can't resist because you're mean and hateful and a bully, you're in the Bible anyway. So go ahead and indulge yourself. Indulge your flesh, even though you could be at bars. And I know people at the bars don't want any Christ just as much as you don't want any dates. No high watch dates. So you guys will be in great company. You're both drunk, and you're all drunk, and then you can, they'll probably be kind of nice to you, and then you can be nice to them, because bullies are only nice to people they're afraid are going to kick their butt. They're not nice to people that are harmless. Like us. We're harmless. We're peaceable and harmless, watching, and you come on and rail on us and stir up strife, and you want to bully us because you know we don't fight back. We don't fight. But you fight. Why don't you go find a fight with a drunk? Okay? Okay, God bless you, bride watching brides. Love you all. Bye.